how did this even start? How did we start even podcasting to begin with?
Welcome to Unscripted with Kirby Hasseman and Bill Petrie. In this weekly podcast, Kirby and Bill talk about the world of marketing, branding, and promotional products. Unscripted is available only at promocorner.com, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry. Now, here's Kirby and Bill.
And welcome to episode 200 of the Unscripted podcast. I'm your co-host, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, my good friend, my partner in crime, the other half of this fine broadcast. That's right, no funny nicknames for Kirby today. The one and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the hell are you?
I am doing well, as you can probably see just based on the video here. I've moved myself back into the office here by myself. So if everybody wants to be the police about that, they can take it someplace else.
Right.
But I'm actually super happy working from here.
Yeah. I'm sure your family is as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So in that way, I'm doing really well. I feel like this week I've gotten more done than I have in 3 weeks. So good. I'm feeling great. How about you, buddy?
Doing good. Obviously at home still and going to be for a long time. So like I think I mentioned, we are in the process of closing down the office we had here in Tennessee. And so I'll be sheltering in place for the foreseeable future at home. Yeah. So that's a good thing. You know what else is a good thing, Kirby?
What's that, Bill?
So glad you knew to ask. That'd be our good pals over at Next Level Apparel. You know, Kirby, it wasn't about reinventing the wheel. It's about revolutionizing it. And in 2020, Next Level Apparel has transformed the industry's tubular tee by combining art and science to create the 1800 unisex ideal heavyweight tee. And the vision was to create that tubular tee that offers an elevated fit, that soft fabric, which I know you love, Kirby, and everyday function inspired by streetwear, skatewear, surfwear, and workwear. And I know you are a fan of that elevated t-shirt.
I am. Again, I think that it provides us an opportunity to have a different conversation with our clients. And I think I've said this on here before. I was a person who sold a lot of the basic 100% cotton. Those have a great place. They're whatever. But it's the first kind of t-shirt that my end users started to request. They didn't know what a tri-blend was. They knew it was soft and it was comfortable. And that, then price goes out the window, which is really a nice place to be.
It is. Every cut, every thread, every person has come together to make this durable, heavyweight cotton tee, the new benchmark in streetwear fit, workwear function. You don't want to miss out on this tee, Kirby, so head over to nextlevelapparel.com. Are they going to be sorry that they did?
They will not be sorry they did.
All right. So, Kirby, thank you for having the courage to do this podcast now 200 times. Actually, it's probably like 220. We don't count the special editions. We don't count the ones we're doing happy hour these days, but this is officially number 200. So first of all, congratulations. Second of all, thank you for having the courage to do this with me 200 weeks in a row.
That is, right back at you, buddy. Congratulations. We had a conversation with Danny Rosen the other day, and it's funny, I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I feel like you have sort of planned a little bit more for this. But for whatever reason, in the last week, I've thought a lot about the idea of doing this 200 weeks in a row, and you go, oh, that's almost 4 years.
That's basically 4 years, less
every
8
Friday.
Weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy. So so congrats to you as well, bud.
Well, all right. So what we thought we'd do, in full transparency, so this is a little more of a scripted, unscripted. Yeah. I just sent everybody into hypnosis, but that's okay. We came up with about 6 categories of kind of looking back at the podcast. In certain categories, we just figured we'd share kind of our memories. But I think, first of all, Kirby, for people who maybe just joined us, how did this even start? How did we start even podcasting to begin with?
I'll give you my version of it, and you can correct me where I'm wrong. That's what we've done for 200 episodes.
No issue correcting you. Zero. None.
So the way that I remember this is you and I, after a brief hiatus, we were friends, then weren't friends. Mm-hmm. And then as you were sort of launching Brand of 8 and I was doing Deliver Marketing Joy, you and I kind of got back together from a friendship perspective. And I remember vividly being in Las Vegas talking about a blog post that we ultimately ended up doing for Promo Kitchen called Salt and Pepper, where we said, look, we want to address some of the topics that are topics in the industry, but nobody's really talking about publicly. And we did that for probably, 18 months.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, so it was like literally every month, Promo Kitchen, we came up with a new topic, whether
It's called Salt and Pepper. Yep.
Salt and Pepper, and it was literally, is swag good? The term swag good, and we went back and forth on this, and everything we could think of. And where, in my mind, this really came to be was we did Salt and Pepper Live in Vegas, where we literally debated every issue we could think of and then took questions from the audience. And that's when it, like, I think started. I believe this whole thing was your idea. I think.
Sadly, I think you're right.
Yeah. And so you came to me and said, look, the conversations we're having are ones that are interesting. We're just doing it on the phone, but I think we could record it and make it a podcast. And I think for me, when you pitched that to me, I thought of Salt and Pepper Live, and I thought that was really fun, and I think we could do it. And so if memory serves, you then went to Joel Moore and said, hey, we think this would be a cool piece of content. I think Joel said, yeah, sure, let's try it. For a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. And my thought was it was going to last about 2 to 3 weeks.
Mine too, and we'll get to that in a minute. If you listen to the first one, I'm surprised we lasted longer than that. No, I think your version's dead on. I think when I called you and said, hey, let's do another let's do a different piece of content.
And I think we were enjoying working together on something,
absolutely.
right? Like that's.
I think my original thought was, let's do some sort of, can we do this live though? That was the thing. Can we do it live and have people call in, like a radio show? I think is exactly how I pitched it to you. And I think then you suggested, or we arrived jointly, that probably recording a podcast is the best way to do it. And then we decided the best way to do it was an offshoot of how we used to write the Salt and Pepper articles, which was, we would have the topic. One of us would take pro, one of us would take con, and we really wouldn't share what we wrote with each other until it was published. And then we'd see what the other jackwagon wrote. And so that kind of was the whole impetus of this. Is I think it's more fun when the conversations are spontaneous. I think we both agreed that was the way to go, and I think it served us well. We don't edit this podcast. The only time we've edited is when we've had technical issues, and we've had to splice it together. But we've never edited anything out, which maybe we should from time to time.
I'm going to bring up the one time we did today.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Oh, yes, please do. All right. So why don't we take a trip down memory lane, Kirby?
Okay.
Let's start with the most embarrassing.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and start if that's
okay.
Why don't you go ahead and start? What's the most embarrassing for you?
Okay. So this is a great transition because my most embarrassing moment is one that never aired.
Okay.
It is the one time. I hope it's cool that I'm bringing this up.
Yep, go ahead.
The one time that we edited the podcast, like for real, took something out that was said. It was something that I said, and it was a spontaneous moment that you were doing a read. And so I'm going to try and do this in a way that I can still say it and feel good about it. But you were doing a read for Vault Promotions.
I was doing a read for Vault Promotions.
Yeah, and you did a little slip and said that it was Vault Promotions.
Yes.
And live in the moment, I switched and said, okay, so Vault Promotions sells badges. So if we were to switch those letters, then you're saying that Vault Promotion sells something else.
Yes.
And so it was in the moment, it sounded really funny in my head. And then it came out of my mouth and I realized what I'd said. And now to your credit, I will say, and no one will know this because we just kept rolling. You were like, wow, I don't even know what to do with that. And we just kept going.
Just kept going.
And so at the end of the podcast, I said, maybe that's one we take out for Josh's sake. So that was the most embarrassing. And so I'm sort of reliving it now.
So my most embarrassing, Kirby, man, that's a good one you came up with. That's very good. So I went down a rabbit hole of unscripted podcasts and I listened to episode 1.
Okay.
As much as I could take of it.
Really? I've never listened.
It's on the promo corner. It's on the promo corner. It's in Promo Journal on the promo corner page. And you can just go to unscripted and scroll all the way down. It's there. And I was so jacked up and so nervous. I actually have notes here. I had high voice, fast talk, and stutter mumble. I don't even know what those mean, but that's what I had. And then my favorite thing is I said, Kirby, great to have you here. Like, I was the only host. I mean, I was really nervous. We were doing this together, but I acted like I'm hosting. And you said, Kirby said, thanks for having me. And my witty retort was, I guess we're having each other, but not like that.
Well, hopefully the idea, and it's funny that you say this just as a quick thing, is we talk about this a lot with people, that you got to start, because episode 10 is going to be better than episode 1, and episode 20 is going to be better than episode 10. And well, I mean, ideally, but I think that so many people want to start something and they want to be at episode 100 when they start. And that's just not how it works.
No, I mean, it's terrible. The conversation was good once like the nerves settle, but man, that first 4 or 5 minutes is exquisitely painful to listen
now I can't wait to go back and listen.
You should. Like I'm telling you, go to promocorner.com, click on Promo Journal, click on Podcast, and click on Unscripted. Scroll all the way down.
Okay. I will check
all the way down, and it's because they're all there on one page, 200 episodes. And you can click on that first one, and there's no music, there's no production value. I think you hear me. I think I do have the before we got Russ to do the welcome to Unscripted. I think it was me, but it sounded like I was in an echo chamber. And, like I said, I'd stutter mumble, I'd fast talk and high pitch, and it was bad news. Bad news.
As a side note, I think it's funny that this is a perfect example of you went back and did homework for this, and I just wrote down what was ever on my mind.
Yeah, I did some research.
That's right.
Research.
That's why you're the pro. You're the pro.
Oh, I don't know about that. All right, Kirby, what's the next category you'd like to talk about? And you start off.
Then I'll go with most controversial.
Okay. I can answer that one.
Yeah. So, but I want to give you. So, other than most embarrassing moment was actually my toughest one.
Yeah.
Every other one I came up with multiples. So I will try to not give the one you gave. So.
Well, most controversial is the only one I came up with one.
Yep.
And it would be Spark.
Okay.
Which you knew I was going to bring up.
Sure.
It was episode 58. Research.
Okay.
It was the initial Spark event put on by PPAI. And I did not listen to it this time. I've listened to it enough.
Right.
And, it was what I said was essentially taken really out of context. And I was absolutely eviscerated by the person who was at PPAI at the time, Seth Barnett, who was leading Spark. And I remember I've listened to it a dozen times. I went to great lengths to say, I am sure it was a great event. My issue was there was no story that was told out of it. It was like a very secret society because there was no, we're all looking, my point was we're all looking to these young professionals to lead us to wherever we're going to go as an industry. And I felt like they were being uber protective of their story. And so it just nothing ever came out. What did they learn there? Where are we going? What's next for us? What are we not thinking of that we should be thinking of? And so I was not barbecuing the event itself. You actually did that, and you got away scot-free. You were saying how exclusionary it was. I didn't say that. I didn't care. My thing was, I want the story. I want to know what happened.
Yep.
And, so that was the most controversial, and that led to a couple Promo Kitchen podcasts. It led to several follow-up conversations with people at PPAI, and then actually it ended up me speaking at Spark last year. So I mean, it was like a 2-year controversy that just wouldn't go away. Hopefully, it has now. I mean, I am a huge fan of Spark and that group because now they're telling their story. But that first one, they didn't tell the story. They didn't tell it, and I'll go to my dying day saying they didn't tell that story. Yeah,
so I think that the most controversial one, that's obvious. I think because in a good way,
personal too to me because I mean I was pretty eviscerated by that group.
Yeah, and I think part of it too, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think you were trying to not play both sides. That's not where that comes off more negative than I mean it. You were trying to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you want to distill what it was, I don't know what happened there. We don't know. No one knows what happened there. We want the story. I'm sure, and I remember saying, I know it was a great event because I know Seth Barnett put his heart and soul in the work group, did the same thing. I have no doubt it was an awesome event. What happened though? We want to know.
Yeah.
Help us.
Yeah. And so, and again, I think that the backstory on that is that, generally speaking, we don't know the topics. So you had more time to think about it. I'll be honest with you. I think one of the reasons I wasn't is I was fairly unapologetic about my opinion.
Right.
And I continue to be.
But
right.
That's
that's a topic.
Great, actually.
Yeah. That topic is not one that I changed my mind on.
Right.
I'm not crazy about exclusionary events. I think the idea that, part of the thing of that event was we're going to do education differently, and we're going to do it on the top of buses, and we're going to do because we learn differently. And my pushback is, no, you don't. Mm-hmm. Like, just because you're younger doesn't mean your brain is wired differently, because it's not. Yeah. So I still don't feel any differently about what we said that day. Now, I will say that, so my kickoff to that, because I knew that would probably be yours.
Well, it's personal too to me.
Yeah, but it was from the same discussion.
Yeah.
Right. So you had said exclusionary wasn't bad because the Women's Leadership Conference was exclusionary, and I was like, I don't like that either. And
I remember, I still think you're wrong on that.
Yeah, and so that one I've changed my mind on.
Okay.
So of the the Spark piece, I was like, I said what I said.
Yeah.
And I've actually, so I had a great conversation with Kate Plummer, and actually Danielle Augustine talked to me about it too. And both of them sort of gave me perspectives that, I just didn't have. And at the end of it, I was like, okay, cool. I felt like I learned something out of that. And so if we bring up a topic, discuss it in the light, which I think was sort of the point of this exercise. Yes. And then someone learns. If that's me, cool. If it's somebody else, I'm good with that too. So yeah, that was mine.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Okay. My turn now?
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. Let's do proudest moment or moments.
Okay. Cool. You go first.
Want me to go first? Okay. Yeah. The number one thing I think I'm really proud of when I come back to when I think about the podcast and things I'm proud of, I don't feel like we've changed anything. I don't feel like we're this voice of the industry. I don't feel any of that stuff. I don't feel like we've taught people anything. Personally, I just don't. I think we've entertained. What I'm most proud of, though, is our three things. Our consistency is number one. We have broadcasted from hotels, meetings, events, beaches, hospital rooms, you name it. We've broadcasted there because it was imperative to both of us that this happen every week without fail. Yeah. And we've done that for 200 weeks in a row. I can't think of anybody else in the industry who's done anything even remotely that consistently over time. And so that, to me, is something I take an immense amount of pride in. So that's number one. Number two, episode 100, which happened to also be a really wonderful discussion about Fran Ford. Just a really heartwarming. I think that's where I feel like we touched a lot of people with just talking about our memories of Fran Ford, an absolute lion of the industry, a titan of the industry who passed away. So that one. And then the third one, something that where I felt like, okay, maybe we got something here, was a couple of years ago. I don't know what episode it was. It ended up being a special edition because we were adamant that we don't have guests on here. We've had a couple since then, but immense amount of pride when Paul Bellantone reached out to us and asked if we would have him on, or have him as a guest on Unscripted to kick off Promotional Products Work Week. That was when I thought, okay, wow, we're actually making an impact here. Those are the three I came up with. What about you?
Oh, that's good. So one of mine was PPAI asking to have Paul as a guest. That was a proud moment. The other one, really, and honestly, I wrote it down as you were talking. I'm pretty proud of the one we did on the coronavirus crisis, where we asked people to kind of weigh in, a little bit more production on that one, and I'm proud of that.
That was a special edition one. That was a real good one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Winning our gold pyramid.
Yes, I almost put that. But
yeah. Go ahead, I joke about the awards, kind of tease about them a little bit. I try not to be so tied up in it from an ego perspective, but if I'm being honest, when we got the gold, that one was really pride. Yeah. Big piece of pride for me.
Twice.
Yeah, that's right. And then finally, really recently, adding video.
Adding video is huge.
I'm really, really proud of that. And I think that's taken it up a notch. So those are mine.
Agreed. No, that's awesome. You know what else is awesome, Kirby?
What's that, Bill?
So glad you knew to ask. That'd be our good pals over at Tervis. Hold it while I get a drink of water. Mm. Wow, that is an icy cold drink of water. Oh, wow, it's a Tervis mug. Who knew? Anyway, we're going to talk about our good pals at Tervis, but not the stainless steel line. We've talked about that. We're going to talk about that classic line that everybody loves. We all know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
It's been around since 1946. It's that sleek style that makes it perfect for the active and on-the-go lifestyle. Tervis is the original double-wall insulated drinkware that keeps cold drinks cold and reduces condensation. It's backed by the made for life guarantee. They have all sorts of sizes. They have wine glass, stemless and stemmed and stemless, 10-ounce wavy, 16-ounce mug, the 16-ounce and 24-ounce tumblers, the 24-ounce water bottle, and Kirby's absolute favorite, the sippy cup.
Love the sippy cup.
Who doesn't love the sippy cup? Made from Triton plastic, made in America, lifetime warranty. Is it dishwasher safe, Kirby?
Of course.
Is it microwave safe?
I believe so.
It is. Is it landfill safe?
It is
because you'll never throw it away because that's how durable this thing is.
So confused.
Me too. It's BPA free. If you're interested in learning more, and gosh darn it, why wouldn't you be? Head over to tervispromos.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. All right, Kirby, you pick the next one.
Okay, cool. So we're cranking along. I don't think we're going to need to do too much other than these. So
No.
I'm going to go with...
This might be the laziest podcast we've ever done.
Yes. Favorite recurring topic.
You go first.
Okay, so I, again, got a couple of them, but...
I got two.
So rapid fire is the one that...
Yes, I have that on mine.
Yeah. And honestly, you deserve all the credit for the rapid fire. Let's just be candid. You spend a lot of time on that. I spend zero. Yeah, I spend zero time on that. But the rapid fire is fun, especially when you build it around a theme, which you generally do. So that's one that I love.
It's fun because I always wanted to create a game like that where nobody could lose. And to know that I've done something like that, it just makes me feel great.
Good. And then really anything that comes from the promotional products professionals page is, it's like, it's a recurring, it's not really a recurring topic, but it's a recurring source of content for us. And so those are two that kind of, I never tire of.
Awesome. So I did put rapid fire.
Yep.
I did not put promotional products professionals page just because I didn't. I think the one I'm really proud of, my favorite recurring topic, is one we do every year, it seems annually, is recognizing women in our industry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That has become one of my favorite annual podcasts that we do. It causes me to, first of all, pause and think who's really kicking ass from a female perspective in our industry, and then maybe, and this is maybe a sad comment on the way our society is in our industry. I sometimes have to go look. Who's doing things that I'm not aware of, and so it causes me to do that, and I think that's a good thing. It causes me to think a little differently. So I love that podcast. I love when we do that. I wish we probably should do it more than once a year.
Yeah, no, it's a good one, buddy. All right, what's next?
Kirby. Let's talk about most memorable.
Okay.
You want to go first? Why don't you go first?
Okay. So I've got two. And the first one is obvious to me. It is episode 7 by a mile. So that is, for those who don't know,
episode 8.
I thought you sent me episode 7.
Oh, did I? Whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was episode 7.
Episode 7 or 8.
And it's one of the very few ones that I went back and listened to.
Yep.
So for those who don't know, that was the time that Bill's wife had health care emergency, and you and I had communicated over the weekend about it. You kind of sent me a text message, we talked.
Yep.
And then the following week, there was a question of whether we were going to do the podcast, and an obvious question, right? Like,
yep.
We went back and forth about whether I would do it without you, and you broadcast from her hospital room.
Yes.
Gave sort of the industry really an update on her situation. I thought it just showed how dedicated you were, not only to the podcast, but to your craft and your professionalism. So shout out to you on that one.
That's a memorable one. And just so a little color with that, if I may. So this is when we were recording on Tuesdays. We always dropped on Friday, but we were recording on Tuesdays. And so on a Friday night, it was August the 5th. In 2016, my wife suffered a sudden cardiac arrest in our house. I had to give her CPR for 6 minutes. Hospital, I had to give her CPR for my child, one of my kids. Yeah. Whole big mess, and wasn't sure she was going to make it through the weekend, she was put in a hypothermic coma, and that was to preserve any brain function if she did come out of it. Long story short, she did start coming out of it on Sunday. And Monday, we made the call to go ahead and to broadcast it. Hey, this is, I made a point of being authentic and transparent. And, I had just decided on Monday to share with the industry what was happening. So, yeah, deciding to do that was not easy, but it helped maintain my sense of sanity, to be honest with you. I remember being chastised by the nurse because she wouldn't give me my wife's Jell-O, which pissed me off. Stupid. Wanted the Jell-O. Okay, good. What else was memorable?
The other one that popped into my head was the first time we did a live one at SKUCon. That was one that for the background is, I think we did a class on how to do a podcast, and then we were like, and you can, it's really easy to do. Watch. And we each had a beer in our hand, and we did it, and that's become sort of a fun way for us to do podcasts now.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That one comes to my mind.
So I put both of them. I put that down. First of all, I put the hospital one down. That is memorable for me. I can still remember that vividly. Wish we had video for that one.
Yeah.
I did put out anytime we do a live one, whether it's at Expo, the SKU camps, SKUCon, live at Snugs when we went out to Snugs. That was a memorable one. So anytime we were live, those are very memorable for me.
Yeah.
So that was one. Any deep night. I love the deep night unscripteds.
Yeah.
We don't do them often enough, or maybe we do them just the right amount. I don't know. But there have been times where, it's been just basically a normal unscripted. We just record at night while having a beer. There's been times where we record a little later and maybe we've had a couple of soda pops and things don't make as much sense as they would normally would. So those are memorable.
Yeah, it's funny. I can always tell when you're a little bit in a rut with this podcast because you'll text me and be like, I think we need to do a deep night.
Yeah, I'm usually one that'll push that. Anytime we've had a guest, we haven't had guests very often, but Paul Pantone we did, Dana Zezzo, when he was working at Imagine Brands and I stayed at his apartment. He was on one time. Mandy Rudd came and hosted with us. So that, and then we did another one I keep coming back to, and I forget the episode number. We talked about our heroes, and I remember that one very vividly. We talked about our individual heroes, both just personally and also professionally, people who we really admired. And I like that one.
Cool. All right, I think just one more.
There's
topic,
just one
right?
more, and I like ending with this one, Kirby. The one thing you never want to discuss again, and of course I came up with 4. Do you want me to go first?
Yes, please.
Number 1, industry mergers. I get so tired of talking about the industry mergers. They're going to happen. They affect people. People lose their jobs. The redundancies happen. It sucks. It's going to continue happening, but I get exhausted by it. But then we always have to discuss it because it'd be tone deaf if we didn't discuss 2 big companies merging.
Right.
Number 2, reusable straws. I do not wish to discuss the pros and cons of reusable sucking drinkware or drink accessories again.
Yep, like that one.
Tariffs.
Yeah.
Tariffs beats me into submission every time we talk about it. And the final one, Kirby, Pantone color of the year. It comes out every year, and there's a certain segment of our industry that is totally geeked up about, fuchsia coral excellence or whatever the color is that year. I don't get it. I don't understand who the governing body is and who decides that's the color of the year. To me, it has as much validity as someone who advertises in Las Vegas that they have the best burger in town. I don't understand who has the authority to proclaim anything the year. So Pantone color of the year is my final one. I don't ever want to discuss again, and I can't wait to discuss it next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't wait to bring it up again. Actually, the first 3 I'm down with. I don't care. It's funny. I think we both are like, kind of whatever about Pantone, and yet one of us brings it up every year, so it's funny.
Hey, we're producing a lot of content. We're going to talk about stuff we don't want to talk about.
That's right. Okay, man. The one thing I never want to discuss again. Now, I will tell you, I don't think we've discussed these 2 things that much. Number 1 is politics. I could live without discussing any of that. I would love it if we could not talk about COVID-19 anymore, but I think that's
that'd be a tone deaf situation.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the one that popped into my head is defending whatever I am drinking in happy hour or deep night unscripted. I will drink what I want. Thank you very much.
Wow. Okay. All right, we got under Kirby's skin. I'm very interested in this. Let's hear a little bit more.
No, man, it's funny. We have lived in this quarantine situation, and as a rule, I like a more flavorful beer. But here lately, you go to a lot of the stores in Coshocton. There's only 2 that sell more craft beer stuff with the selection. So
Yep.
I've just been grabbing Miller Lite, and
Okay.
I will drink Miller Lite if
You
I
know
want
what? And
to. Thank you
I
very much.
apologize that our audience has judged you so harshly. I'm glad I haven't. All right. So I don't know. You know, we don't know how long Unscripted will last. We've never said it. You're about to say something.
Nope. Go for it.
We never know how long it's going to last, but we've decided that whenever one of us decides it's not fun anymore, we're going to stop doing it. Yeah. So we're going to keep doing it for as long as we have fun. Hopefully you guys are listening, who are listening, have fun with it. I think, well, also we'd be remiss before we go on and do the promo person of the week and dealer's choice. Thanking the listeners. We've had people who have been loyal listeners from day one. And we've had people who have been loyal listeners since day 506. Yeah. So to everybody who has taken the time to listen, to thank us, to talk to us, to engage us, to chastise us, to whatever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't think you realize, if you don't produce content, you probably don't realize how meaningful it is to get feedback. Yeah. And the feedback generally we get for this podcast is overwhelmingly positive. We can take the negative too, because we've certainly had our share, but we really appreciate each and every person who takes the time to listen. Hopefully you find value in it every week, whether it's entertaining, a little bit informative, maybe you learn something along the way. But I know I'll speak for Kirby, and I'm sure Kirby will want to say something. We love doing it, and it's truly an honor that we get to do it every week. So thanks to Promo Corner, thanks to you, Kirby, and thanks to all of our listeners. All 10 of you. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I don't want to add too much more because I think what Bill said was super eloquent, but I would say thanks to Bill. Bill is the driver of this. In reality, we joke about my preparation level. I mean, I make a couple notes and then I show up. Bill's the one who sets the appointment. He's the one who makes sure that we're on task. And as we talked about earlier, regardless of where he's broadcasting from, he keeps going. So thanks, man. I appreciate you.
It's a good time. All right. We are now at the time, Kirby. Promo person of the week, the person or people who is getting our attention and making us take notice. I have 2 this week. Okay. Very rarely do we have 2. That would be Kirby Hasseman and Bill Petrie. That's right. We are the promo people of the week this week. You know why? Because we just broadcast our 200th damn episode of a podcast. That's a lot. And no one else has done that in our industry. So you know what? Yeah, we are the promo people of the week. And I have no problem with that. 0.
Right, well, here.
High five.
High five.
There we go.
Okay.
Do you want to add anything to that?
I see no reason to add anything.
Do you disagree? Come on.
No, hell no, man. That's great. I loves me some me.
Yeah, well, thank you, Terrell Owens. All right, Kirby, we are now dealer's choice. You can play any game you want. You can do anything you want. To talk about anything you want. I have no idea what you're going to bring up.
Yeah, so honestly, this is going to be super quick. But I saw last night on YouTube a video. It made me think of you. Sammy Hagar and a group of people got together and did 3 Little Birds in like this really cool production. Kind of looked like they were all performing in quarantine.
Yep.
That was really cool. I think we've seen we recently talked about like some of the music we've seen in quarantine. That was one that I thought that's the best one I've seen. So
yeah, so it's Sammy Hagar's band. These days it's called The Circle. And so it has Michael Anthony, who was in Van Halen with him on bass. It has Vic Johnson, who has been with Sammy on guitar, who has been with Sammy Hagar for 20 years. He also played in a group called the Busboys way early on. And then on drums, you have Jason Bonham, who is the son of John Bonham. So it's his band these days. One side note about Sammy. I love Sammy Hagar. I really do. But he's kind of one of these guys, whatever band he's in, man, that's the best band he's ever been in. So that's the best band he's ever been in. But, the guy is 73.
Yeah. He doesn't look it, man.
Looks about 55, if that. Sounds great. Sounds like he did 20 years ago. Well, a lot of people don't like his singing voice, but he sounds just like he did 30, 40 years ago. He can still hit the high notes. And it's very cool how they're quarantined and they basically just give each other a song and they do one about every couple days. It's very cool.
It's awesome. So it was a shout out to that. I knew you would like it. And so that's it.
I do like it, Kirby. You know what else I like?
What's that, Bill?
That'd be our good pals over at Next Level Apparel, because they have created that 1800 unisex ideal heavyweight tee. They've combined art and science. A lot of people can't do that, Kirby. But people at Next Level sure as hell can. You don't want to miss out on this tee. It is every cut, every thread, every person in the organization has come together to make this durable, heavyweight cotton tee the new benchmark in streetwear fit and workwear function. Visit nextlevelapparel.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Kirby, thank you so much again for having the courage to do this 200 times. Let's see if we can do it at least a couple more.
I love it. Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to Unscripted with Kirby Hasseman and Bill Petrie. Unscripted is available every Friday at promocorner.com, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry.